Welcome to the Bite Size Brilliance Podcast. I'm your host, April Darley, and I want to talk today about when to quit and when to keep going. How do you know the difference? And if you're a Gen Xer like me, you probably remember this old Kenny Rogers song, Know When to Hold 'em, Know When to Fold 'em. And this is kind of the same thing. So it could be a job, a business, a friendship, a relationship. But the first thing I would suggest, if you're wondering if you should quit and move on, do something different, is to look at a few things first. Number one, just the thought you're having that you want to quit means that you're unhappy or uncomfortable in some way. So it's really important to stop at that moment and go, all right, I am unhappy or uncomfortable, but why? And really be honest with yourself, write it out. Why at this moment is the thought entering your head that I'm not so sure if I want to go on. I don't know if I want to do this. So get real honest about that. And whatever you put on that page, how much of it is due to your own thoughts, feelings, and behavior versus how much of it is someone else? Because if you've done mindset work, you can't control someone else. You can't make them change. You can't make them be in a way that would make you more comfortable. So if we eliminate that as a possibility, this could be a boss, romantic relationship, friend. If you go, I can't change their behavior. I can't make them want to change, but what is it about them that might be triggering me, that might be causing me to feel a certain way? So write that down. And then I also want you to think about how you feel about the very concept of quitting, because some people have told you winners don't quit. Quitting's bad. Only losers quit. And that's not true. But some of us are walking around out there with that sort of subconscious mindset. What will people think of me if I quit? Or if I make a change? If I do something different? Because some people are literally staying where they are just because they're afraid of what other people might think. Or here's another one I'm seeing recently among my clients. They feel to start over would be wasting time. And so they would settle where they are to avoid the pain of starting over. And that is so interesting to me because I don't have that. And I will be like, yeah, I will burn something down and I'm okay starting over. Is it my favorite? No. Am I willing to do it? Yes. Is it comfortable? No. Am I willing to do it? Yes. So think about why you would choose to stay as well. Is this something that can be worked out with an open and honest conversation? Because I can't tell you how many times I've worked with couples, like individually. I don't do couples counseling, but I've worked with both parties of a couple, and they had no idea that the other one was feeling some type of way because the other person, they just weren't communicating at all. And they expected the other person to be a mind reader, or they expected the other person in their friendship, relationship, job to have been raised with the same standards that they were, and they should know better. Okay. Big air quote on the should. But people are their own individual selves, right? They were raised in a particular type of environment that may not be your environment, and they don't know your version of right and wrong unless you have a conversation about it. So some of the pain that people feel is because their expectations aren't meeting their reality. And really being honest with that. Am I unhappy because I expect something that's not happening? Like I expect the other person to be different and they're not, so I'm unhappy. And if that's the case, you want to work on that, right? Because you're relying on someone else to create your happiness instead of you doing the work yourself. So don't get caught up in expectations versus reality. Don't get caught up in the shame of quitting. And don't get caught up in that I need to stay where I am because I've invested so much time. Because I'll tell you one little secret, you might just need a break. So, this is more for a business or a job that isn't necessarily making you happy anymore. So, sometimes it's not that the job itself needs to change, like you need to quit, right? You might just have been ignoring your self care. You're really burnt out and you just need some time off and you just need a break. And I suggest that break be something you go and do with self care or fun because you may have just been disconnected from your joy for a little too long. And once you take a break, you do some self care, you might actually start getting re inspired about your job and go back with your former passion and vigor. But if you are unhappy in a job or a business, it could also mean that something about what you're doing needs to change. And it can be a very small tweak, right? So many years ago, I was considering closing my coaching business because I wasn't happy with it. And if you're new to me, I have been a corporate manager. I was a corporate manager for 14 years. Then I went to medical school. I was a doctor for several more years. And then I moved into coaching for the last like 6 or so years. But when I noticed my coaching and I'm not having fun with it anymore, it's because it was straying a little too far into the healing realm that burnt me out. And so it was my nervous system, my thoughts, my body just going, the same thing's gonna happen with this coaching if you try to do too much healing with others or putting your coaching in a healing emphasis, then you're gonna get burnout and whatever. My body knew that. So what I had to do is take it out of healing and tweak the niche a little bit, tweak the message, tweak my system a little so it was more mindset and not about physical healing anymore. And once I made that little switch, I love my business again and I looked forward to it again. So I didn't have to close the business and quit. I just had to change the direction a little bit. So if you're in that place as well and you're not prepared to quit for whatever reason, then I suggest looking at your mindset. How can you do something differently? How can you view the situation differently that would make you happy? If you know you're unhappy right now. All right, my friends, I'm wishing you so much love and success. There is a balance to knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them. No answer's right or wrong. You just need to be really honest with yourself, the reasons why you would stay, the reasons why you would go, and get help with that as well. I mean, there's a lot of ins and outs depending on your situation. And that is something I love to do with my clients. It is strategic, it is connections, and I love that stuff. So I do free 20-minute phone consultations. And I do private coaching one to one that is customized and tailored to you and your needs. So, if that is something you might be interested in, you can go to aprildarley.com and schedule that consultation now. And I look forward to speaking with you in the future. Until next week, my friends. Goodbye.